Hi, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, epidemiologist, biostatistician, faculty member. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you, taking you step by step through an epidemiological study. And this is in the area of HIV. There have been a lot of different studies recently due to the pandemic on COVID and other infectious diseases. HIV is a disease that has an infectious disease that has gone down drastically. Actually, a number of years ago, when I went to give a talk at Hopkins about mother to child transmission of HIV, one of the first things that one of the moderators said, and this actually stuck with me, is the fact that um, when we're trying to contextualize an epidemiological issue, we have to look at the big picture first. So if I'm presenting a percentage in terms of mother to child transmission, that's within the broader context of the idea that HIV in general has gone down. With that said, um, within general within the general population it may have, but within specific countries around the world, and within specific populations, even within the United States, HIV is still there, and there's chronic diseases and other aspects that are to be considered. So that's what article is all about. And from my time at seeing HIV patients within the clinic, some of these things, some of these issues, social issues, um, did emerge. Ones I'll be going over here. So Medicaid, and the fact that um, because unfortunately within some of the southern states, actually 12 states, did not go for Medicaid expansion. This restricted and exacerbated pre-existing disparities. And so a lot of rural areas vary in HIV prevalence. So in the South, rural areas are likely to have higher prevalence. And so this is where some of these key epidemiological measures you identify. So this is the process. You go through this slowly. Um, Usually there's a theoretical framework, and the social determinants of health is an important one. Five domains contained within it. And then, so the other piece to this is that when you're given an epidemiological measure like this, where you give one percentage, and this is also a frequent practice, where you give the total percentage of that subgroup, and then take a look at what percentage represents either the prevalence of the disease or disease-related death, as in this case, AIDS-related death. So this is one way to kind of extract out epidemiological information from articles. Um, this is a Lancet article, so most of these are written in similar fashion. You can go through these key messages. There's only five in here, and take a look at molecular epidemiology and mapping and data visualization. Some of the more exciting things that are occurring. Um, Nowadays, I would say that in the practice of and field of epidemiology, in order to get a complete picture, you do have to have a map. And so this is HIV diagnoses, which I have actually created independently within a dashboard and presented on. Um, but here you kind of see those pockets of higher percentage and prevalence of new HIV diagnoses. So all around the South, you see more, but also in the north, there's pockets in Pennsylvania as well, New York. So geographical disparities in HIV, that's another area of epidemiology. So again, I'm seeing percentages here. So data from men who have sex with men illustrate the geographic variations and disparities. So another measure, which I have mentioned and will be mentioning, is rate ratio. Of black MSM to white MSM, this ranges from 2.4 to 10.1 by state. So these existing disparities within geography and what's more important is to see the racial disparities that exist. And so you can kind of take a look at residential segregation too, as a corollary to this. And then another area. So as you're reading this, I want you to make note of another thing that is important is that how many facets of HIV are there? And again, using your skill of concept mapping that you had learned, you could just start quickly creating a concept map so you can have HIV kind of in the middle, and then create one that is PrEP, and that's an important piece now that there's a pill, pre-exposure prophylaxis pill, that you can take, especially in serodiscordant cases, where there's positivity status for one and not for another. So then the other is PEP to be thinking about, um, post-exposure prophylaxis. So as you can see, there's actually pretty complex relationships. So go through that, and then as you can see through these epidemiological studies, that there's additional ways that you can take a look at this. For instance, telemedicine services is an important way to grapple with HIV. Epidemiology by individuals. This goes into some age subgroups, and the idea that the number of HIV diagnoses um, actually increase for certain age groups, especially 45 to 54. And so, as you can see, when you look at the main analysis, a lot of times certain things do get missed. And so, as an epidemiologist, it is your role and duty to look into some of these subgroup analyses to make better sense of everything. These bubble maps are pretty commonplace in the field of epidemiology, showing the magnitude of disparity and the bubbles being higher accordingly. And then the prevalence rate ratio is higher. So the prevalence, so this gets into not only what I like about this, it combines the measures of geographic location of residence, with ethnicity, with sexual orientation. So three things, and then the magnitude of disparity is provided. Yeah, this is a pretty long sort of explanation of disparities. But I encourage you to go through this because it goes into a lot of important. And if you see, especially if you see in this article, any sort of highlighted terms, please click on them, and then take a look at what this leads to. This one, lo and behold, leads you to a health literacy data map, which shows you specifically where there's higher and lower rates of health literacy scores. And so you can jump to this. And so this quickly gives you an idea and sense of what that is. And so men who have sex with men, if you don't know specifically, or if you want to build out an additional concept map in relation to the one that you created, then this can now generate a web. This is these are all the different um, aspects of a simple epidemiological peer-reviewed scholarly journal article that's been published in Lancet, and specifically looking at infectious diseases. Thank you for listening.